So this past weekend, we witnessed one of the most disturbing, upsetting, and unnecessary events take place in the world of professional wrestling. It will, without a doubt, inspire another episode of Dark Side of the Ring. We are, of course, talking about Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, and the incident involving Syko Stu. Raja literally just beating Syko Stu to a pulp and putting him in the hospital. And just like the mass transit incident, this entire event could have been utterly avoided. And one thing from that incident that we can learn from, which is a reoccurring theme in most incidents in pro wrestling, is that if you take a volatile person, an outsider, an untrained person, some form of heat between two individuals, and of course ego, you are going to have a incident occur. And very rarely are all those factors found within one person. I was actually talking about this incident with another pro wrestler on Instagram, and he suggested that I make a video discussing this because we agree that there are many angles leading up to the situation, and Raja shouldn't have been backstage in the first place. So we have the entire stream to look at, and we can actually see where these events occur. And the first mistake happens, as mentioned before, is letting Raja backstage. Now, there is etiquette in the pro wrestling world, and backstage is for the wrestlers only. However, if you do bring an outsider backstage, especially with a camera, it is very important to disclose with the other wrestlers that so-and-so is coming through, they've got a camera, they're recording for this and that, this is their role. It's very important to discuss that role. Otherwise, there can always be a misunderstanding where a wrestler thinks that this person coming in with a camera is another wrestler. Hence, what led to that beer can incident. And it's important to note that the beer can, an open beer can, is a gimmick, right? It doesn't hurt. It looks more impactful than what it is. An open beer can doesn't hurt. A closed one will, because it's more solid. Even though they can be seen disrespectful in this situation, it was a misunderstanding, and Syko Stu apologized numerous times, so this part should have been swept under the rug. In fact, Raja was even chilled after the apology, it seemed. So I'm going to say this, right? The person that led him backstage without disclosing this to the other wrestlers is the one at fault here. Yeah, we're looking at this guy with a cowboy hat who's the piece of shit, and his name is AJ Marner. Even though that Syko Stu wasn't right for doing this beer can spot with him backstage, the only reason why I say that is because there was no clear communication before the time that it was going to be done. That's it. Always communicate to avoid misunderstandings. He could have misunderstood this situation as him being another wrestler, and he saw the camera, so this is where improv takes over, to create that show and create a little bit of excitement because there's a camera, documenting the event of this wrestling event. So I'm not going to put the blame on Syko Stu here, especially seeing that he apologized for the misunderstanding. So if anybody in the comment section says that he deserves what's coming to him, I suggest you take a hard look in the mirror, and like a real deep hard look, because you're a piece of shit and you should go fuck yourself. And those who actually support Raja's actions should go fuck themselves too. The second mistake was actually letting Raja get involved in the show by interfering in Syko Stu's match midway. You already got two people having heat between each other, even though that the apology was there and both parties seemed chilled about it. Ego does take over at some point, especially when the adrenaline rushes, especially when it's performing in front of people. The other reason why it's a big mistake is because you have an MMA fighter who's not trained in the art of pro wrestling. With that being said, he doesn't know the difference between work punches and shoot punches and how to throw a work punch and make it look good. And when you have an untrained individual running any spot or even just punches, they are going to botch and they are going to hurt someone, without a doubt. He shouldn't have been involved, and they shouldn't have discussed the spot without actually running it through, even if it's just a simple push. Or what is the cue for him to get into the ring? This is just asking for trouble, because even though that most of it's improv, right? some things are planned bullet point style, so that way, everybody's on the same page and the show can run smoothly and safely. And this is where we have to give AJ Mana some attention again, because he encourages Raja to give a receipt, and a hard one at that, knowing full well that the dust has been settled between the two, and then just reignites that heat, knowing full well that you don't give an outsider permission to give a receipt, because there is still some etiquette around that as well. I have given some receipts and I have taken them, but when it comes to that, you never injure the other performer. It's just hitting him a bit harder for him hitting you with a stiff shot. That's it. But the intent is never to injure. Now, one of the biggest problems here is that you have a volatile person. And we have Rampage Jackson saying this.
My two Japanese kids, I knew they was going to college, so I saved up college tuition for the two Japanese kids and bail money for Roger and his brother, so don't fuck with him. If he go to jail, I'm just going to bail him out.
Which does suggest that Raja has a history of being volatile. So when you have such a volatile person doing an IRL stream, where you have a bunch of degenerates making numerous comments on how he should defend his manhood. And what makes it worse is that Rampage acts surprised that Raja did this assault. Meanwhile, Rampage was on the phone with him, egging him on to do something about it as well. Now, of course, Raja has daddy issues, so Rampage Jackson should not act surprised because he's just as responsible as the other degenerates, which is thus egging him on to do something rather extreme and dangerous. And that's exactly what happened, because he let these comments get to his head, which led to this situation. And of course, the wrestlers in the ring stopping this situation after it happened didn't see the fact that Syko Stu's head bounced off the canvas, which was the initial part that knocked him out. Seeing the 15 to 20 blows thereafter is just fucking scary. And this led to someone going to the hospital. And as of editing this, he seems conscious and has some recollection of what happened, which is a good sign. But, facial fractures and missing teeth, that's pretty fucked up, man. This was definitely attempted murder. And if you just look at the stream alone, right, leading up to this event, which will be used against Raja in the court of law, he is in some serious trouble. So you even have Raja claiming to be a fan of the business. So you should have known better on how things work backstage. And the only people that could have prevented this was the person who led him backstage in the first place. That's you, AJ, and go fuck yourself. And that's who I'm going to put the blame on here, initially. I hope karma gets you hard, you bitch. And of course, there's Raja, who's an adult, who can tell the difference between right and wrong. And, he shouldn't let, a bunch of 13-year-olds on his kick stream influence him on what to do. So that's on him. I'm just going to say that the organizers could have prevented this whole incident from happening. And I'm really not impressed with said organizers. This is very upsetting for me, and this is my take. Even more upsetting when you find out that the organization responsible is Nox Pro Wrestling, run by Rikishi, and that there's a whole video discussing that there is a massive cover-up trying to take place, and that Doug here, who is responsible for saving Syko Stu, is speaking out against everything wrong that's going on, because this organization used this event to go viral, to get clout, but then, yet again, they are encouraging people not to talk to the police. Go check out the video, link in the description. That's all I need to say about this. So, until next time, take care.